Hey, it's Joe Glines from Automator, and this is an extract from our Hero call over the weekend. A Hero member wanted to know about being able to display a GUI in front of where the clock is, and Isaias addressed it, but then we said, hey, this is actually a topic we plan to talk about ways to notify your users, when to use a message box or a task dialog versus tool tips versus our Notify class, and then we took a little bit of a deep dive into our Notify class to show how flexible it is. But we talked through the reasons why you do this. So enjoy the call. Remember that Hero program. It's a great program. Check it out. Links above me. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Like if you learned something. Cheers. Someone else got anything they're working on or stuck with?
I have a small question about, is it possible to show messages on top of the clock, or like use the area where the clock is in the status bar to like show results of a message or something?
Well, you can fake it.
Yeah.
You can. But the point is, I think you can grab the taskbar. The whole taskbar is a window.
Okay.
You can get the position of it and the size. So you know the position and the size, and then you would calculate what the X and Y coordinates would be for whatever message you want to do. But yes, that's the only way that I think you can do it. And yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I want to be a little rude and just ask what's your actual goal? Is it just that you want to? Do you want to cover the clock? Do you want to use the space there? Why is it your focus on like putting it where the clock is?
Yeah, I just want a non-obtrusive way of giving a message. So yeah.
Well, because our Notify class, puts things in the, like the bottom right corner, which is often where the clock is.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's what I was thinking of. But I've made like a small script that when you select numbers, then it calculates the numbers and the mean value and so on. So it's a sort of like in Excel when you do the same thing, it always shows like non-obtrusively down in the corner, right?
Sure.
So I just wanted to emulate that behavior.
Let's do that. There's a few things that we can talk about in here if people don't have many questions. So I'll show one. We will see if anybody has any questions.
Isaias, because it's on our list. I'm not looking at our list, but we had a list of topics, one of which was talking through when you're trying to convey information to people when you use a message box versus like a Notify versus other stuff.
Oh yeah,
right?
That's a great little topic as well.
Yeah.
So this class in particular we created for exactly that, creating notifications and having a little bit more control of where they show up. All right. So we can use the show command. Let me just go ahead and say this is. And basically, if you just do this, you will get a little notification close to where the clock is. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That might be enough for what you want. The good thing about this particular class is that you have full control of it. So what I mean by that is that you can say body text is the one that I just had. And I could have the header text. Header text would be notification. And I can also then control the size of the text. So HD font size or color, I could say font size for color. And I would say, let's say 24 for this one. And the body text, I would say, let's do that. Body font size would be, let's say 16, and many other options that we can have. And if you run this is a little bit bigger now. See that? Yes. Now, the other location is general location, and we have center, I guess, which instead of showing it in there, we can show it up here. And then we have other things like, what was it? Right top, I think. There it is, right top, or left top or left bottom, for example, for having it on this side. So I can have the notification wherever I want. It's very customizable. We can have icons, we can have sounds, we can have the thing stay up there for a given amount of time. So gen duration would give me like 10 seconds instead of 3 seconds, and it would stay there for 10 seconds. Or I could have it that it stays there until I click. So if you have a notification that you want it to stay there and it will not go away unless you click on it, yeah, you can do that too. And there's another thing, like when you click, I want to perform an action, a function that I have in my script. You can have that too. So there's this particular class is extremely useful. And we have a lot of examples and documentation. I think even for the prompt assistant, we have a module that is just for the notify class. There it is, the notify. And it gives you a lot of examples that you can just say, hey, give me a simple example of, or with sound, all right? So it would give you what you should have to do to play something with sound. And if I set up my audio, then you will hear the ta-da. There's a few sounds and stuff. So with all of that, if you need to, yeah, go ahead.
It's just because I don't think you mentioned this one that's really, really cool that I think Irfan was the one that came up with it, was you can actually call it from another script, just passing parameters to it.
Yes.
Which is, that's what I love, is like, you don't even have an include, you don't have your code, you just, send your stuff to it and it does it. Which is
so really I could run the notify script and pass some parameters to it. And when you run it like that, it would automatically do what you want. So that means that this doesn't have to be included in your main script. You can have it somewhere and just call it with parameters, which is great.
Nice.
So it is a great little library. And now Joe kind of like hinted at, why would I use a notification instead of a message box, right? Because here's the other thing. I don't know if you knew this, but there's a different command that you can use, which is a tray tip. So I will tell you the difference between tray tip and the notify class. Tray tip, you can use it to create a notification like this. This is just like the Windows notifications. The problem with the Windows notifications is that if I go ahead and disable them, like either by do not disturb, or if I go to the settings and disable them, this doesn't work anymore. So if you want notifications that follow your Windows settings, then tray tip is best, because that allows the user to say, you know what, I want those notifications off for now. I don't want anything popping up. So let me zoom out. But sometimes you have a message, like for example, your script had an error. You don't want to have that notification, that error, not be seen just because Zoom disabled my notifications. That's something that I hate about Zoom. Zoom goes ahead and modifies your notification settings and goes ahead and turns it off, just like this. So Zoom has an option that says if you're in full screen mode or sharing your screen, it goes ahead and disables the whole notifications. And the funny thing is that then it doesn't enable them back. That's the great thing about it. It's just so annoying. At that point, the notify class is great because it's not following those settings, all right? Those are the different methods. Now,
hold on. There's just one more thing to remind is the other cool thing I like, which you may not like, but they stack. So if you have multiples, they will stack automatically until this work. But you also, because correct me if I'm wrong, we added this not too long ago, you can have it say delete the last one. So it basically gets in front of where it is. It doesn't stack if you just wanted to have the latest one there, right? So you can
So if I do this 5 times, you will get 5 notifications and they stack one over the other, right? So it's great.
We'll put a sleep in there a little bit to show how cool it is in your loop. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
It just makes it look much cooler.
There it goes.
Well,
and then they go away by itself if I don't have a time, right?
And,
so
in all the colors, the header and the background color are all customizable, so you can choose what you want. We just have to follow.
You can have icons, you can have sounds, you can have a lot of things. So great little thing. So why would I use the notify versus the tray tip? Well, I just explained that one. Tray tip follows Windows settings. notify just overwrites that. But what about a message box or a tooltip or a balloon tip, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can communicate with your user, right? And this has to do a lot with user experience. So let's say that I have a loop that goes 1,000 times, and just imagine that for each of those, the user has to say okay, and now okay, and now okay. I'm just forcing my user to have to press okay 1,000 times. All right? You know where I'm going with this. So the point is, if you have a program and your user is working with your program, and every action that they take, they get a message box saying, oh, you just deleted that. Oh, do you want to delete that? Oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? They're going to get frustrated very quickly, because instead of helping them, every 5 seconds, you're stopping their workflow and making them do an action that sometimes is just obvious. If I hit the delete button on my keyboard, I'm expecting the thing to delete something. Unless really necessary, don't ask me if I want to delete, because that's what I just did. I just went to the delete button to do that.
Yeah.
Now, if it is something that you're losing information permanently, then I want to stop you right there and say, hey, hold on. Before you do that, remember that as soon as you do that, you're going to lose everything and I cannot recover it. Then that's when I would use a message box.
Yeah.
Basically, in the user experience, there are different ways of notifying the user. You can see that at the bottom of my toolkit here, I have a few informational things. How many hotkeys are active? How many hot strings are active? Do you think I should stop the script and let you know that there are 16 hotkeys active, and then you have to click OK just to know that? No.
Well, wait, if you're a Microsoft engineer, yes.
Yeah. That's what you would do, right?
Yeah.
But basically, it depends. So I would say tooltips are a great way of notifying the user of something without really obstructing the view. So I have a loop now, the loop 1,000 that I had before, but instead of a message box, I can use a tooltip. At this point, the tooltip is going to follow my mouse around, and it will indicate whatever information it is I want. I had it, for example, for a script that it is loading a website, and I'm waiting for the website to be loaded. So I put a little tooltip while it was waiting to let you know the script is doing something. We are waiting for something. So I just leave the tooltip there. And that means every time I move my mouse, I can see the tooltip and I know, okay, still waiting, right? But it doesn't stop you from doing anything. So how I would categorize stuff. There are informational messages. There are important messages. And there are kind of like, not informational, I'm talking about something more kind of like that they're not important at all, but they're not really informational. It's just to let you know that something is going on. Like user, when you're waiting for something to happen, like when you're waiting, all right? It's kind of like notifying you that something is going on, all right? Whenever you have informational stuff like
That's why
this,
the door's closed.
if you have informational stuff, I would usually go with a status bar, or for example, things in my GUI, if I have a GUI that lets the user know what the status of something is. It is enabled. This option is enabled. You can see it right there because it's enabled. Oh, this one is not enabled, you know? So it is kind of like letting you know the state of the program. And in that case, status bar, progress bars are really great at that. Sliders, checkboxes, radio buttons, all of them are great at just letting you know what the state of something is. If I go to my preferences here, you can tell which options are enabled and which options are disabled by this set of checkboxes. Just imagine that you open the preferences and then you get a bunch of message boxes. Okay, you know what? The shows plus is on. The start with Windows is off. The start minimize is on. You know, that would be annoying. So if you want to show the state of your program, controls like this are great. Progress bars, check boxes, and so on. But if you're waiting for something to happen, and this is very important, whenever you have a program and your program is doing a loop or is waiting for the user to do something, you need to let the user know, but you should usually, unless it's very important, you don't want to stop them from doing anything. So here I would use controls. Here I would use status bar, progress bar, tooltips. Here at the bottom, you see when, well, in the other versions of Windows, when something was happening, you could have a progress bar on the icon itself, on the taskbar, right? And here in Windows 11, that's not as visible as before, but I would use that.
Yeah.
Anything like that, I would use these type of programs for that.
If you're like me and move your taskbar to the side, you can still see them. It's just when they're in the bottom, they're worthless. Yeah.
Well, in Windows 11, you cannot put it to the bar, but you have the program that does that for you, right?
Yeah. But I can still use those. Yeah, I'm just saying they are still there. The infrastructure is still there. It just can't see them.
Right. Here,
also,
I could
I
also
don't think
use
you actually mentioned today, but when you want people to make a decision on something, right? Like it's something you want to change or do, like, which I don't think you mentioned in our notify that we have. Oh no, you did, the callback of like, okay, now what we don't have in our notify class is a decision making thing where you can choose A or B.
Right? A or B, right?
Yeah. Or C or whatever, right? Like that's not something we have in ours.
This is something that if it is an important message, hey, you're about to delete your whole computer. Hey, I want you to stop me before I do that, right? If you have to make a decision, do you want to do this or that? Yes, cancel. Yes, no, continue. You know, those kind of things. I would go with a message box, which stops the user from doing anything else until that decision is made or until that important message is dismissed, all right? So there are different ways to let the user know what's going on. And it is a good thing as a programmer to know different ways that you can achieve giving the information to the user without messing up what they're doing. That's exactly the reason why when I'm debugging a script, I like the fact that I don't have to use a message box, because just imagine I'm debugging a 5,000 line script, and for every 5 seconds, I have a message box that I have to click OK on. Sometimes I want that. Sometimes I want a message box that stops everything until I hit OK to continue. But many times I just want a little tooltip that is looping, or the output debug command, or something else like a log, right? So hopefully this is a good information about user experience. It's not exactly complete, like it's not like everything that you can do, but these are kind of like the most common things that you can do for letting the user know different things and which ones I would use for which purpose. Not everything has to be a message box, and not everything has to be a progress bar, all right? So you not always need a progress bar to show what is going on. You can do something else. I have a client that he has a scraper tool. And for that scraper tool, at the bottom of the status bar, I keep a little bit of an information of what's going on. It's just for me to know that the script didn't stop running. I just want to know what the next step is, so that I know if the script entered an infinite loop or something. The text doesn't change anymore, right? But I don't want him being bothered by little notifications every single time, right? As soon as an error happens, then yeah, I use a notification. I have it on the side because that's his main computer, and I don't want him to be, you know, with a big box in the middle, and now he cannot do anything, right? So I put it on the side. It is a red box button, a red box in there with a sound, and it lets him know that something went wrong, but he can continue doing anything he wants until he decides, okay, let me go ahead and fix that. You see? So it depends on what you want to do. I would ask you, what is your choice? What do you usually use?
Well,
You have notifications, right?
you know what also, Kenneth, because I'd have a question for you on that is, would you want to be able to go select and copy from the thing that you're displaying, right? Like I get how you want something unobtrusive that's there, but at times would you want to be able to, you know, and no matter what, I think there's a way to programmatically get it. But is that something you're looking for?
No, I mean, if I ever release this for a general public, I probably would need something more, advanced. But for me, it's just I want something to just be there, and I don't need like an extra notification. I just want it to happen because I often share my screen a lot,
Yeah.
and I don't necessarily want like a
All that
notification.
information, yeah.
Yeah, I just want it to happen, and I can like discreetly.
If I remember right, the notify class, Irfan, can we choose which monitor we show the notification on? I think we can, right?
Yes.
So that means if you're, for example, like me, I have two monitors at least. I usually share my main screen here in front of me, but I have notifications go to the other one. That's a way that I can control. Okay, I want a lot of notifications, but I want to show them in X monitor. That's where I would use the notify class as well. With message
That would
boxes, you
also
cannot
solve
really
my
do
problem. So just showing it on another screen, and can I like say not on the screen I'm sharing, or do I have to specify it? So,
Well, programmatically, you could figure that out, right?
yeah.
Obviously, it takes some work. All right, we
Yeah,
got to stop the record. I didn't realize we had gone that much into the next hour.
Yeah, we're up the time here.
Yeah.
No worries.